Hello Dogs fans, happy Easter. I hope you had a great Easter weekend and welcome to another episode of After the Dogs Roar. This is the Western Bulldogs only show dedicated to all you members, fans and supporters. A big show coming up in this episode. This is episode 12. Let's have a look at the episode agenda. I'm going to start the show with an overview of our round 4 encounter v North Melbourne. Of course, it was the first ever AFL match to be played on Good Friday, so looking forward to getting stuck into that. Also coming up is my round 4 votes for that game for the After the Dogs Roar Best and Fairest Award. Look at where we stand on the AFL ladder before getting into our first VFL encounter. We're up against Box Hill on Friday rather. So looking forward to overviewing that game. Then going to have a look at where we stand on the VFL ladder before getting stuck into our round 2 encounter against Werribee. Looking forward to that. Then going to be previewing our round 5 AFL clash with the Brisbane Lions on Saturday before getting into the fan favourite segment. It is the 5 fan questions. So looking forward to the show. Lots to come. So let's get stuck into it. So of course on Good Friday, the first ever AFL match was played on this religious day, as it is to probably a majority of people in Australia. It was North Melbourne up against our mob, the Western Bulldogs, and it was a very interesting clash. North Melbourne had the lead at quarter time by 2 points in what was a bit of a low kind of scrappy affair, I thought, in the first quarter. Probably in the first half in general, really. It was pretty low scoring, not too much scoring was happening. North led by a couple of goals at half time, and well, they had the game under control in my opinion. In fact, 6 minutes into the third term, they were 29 points up, and I was scratching my head kind of a bit worried, and I'm sure everyone else was a bit worried about what was going to happen, because geez, it looks like they were in, it seemed like they were in full control in the game for about the second and third quarter at least. They seemed like they were in so much control. Yeah, nothing really right was happening for us, to be honest. But however, we were able to kick 5 goals, and we were somehow, I don't know how, but somehow, credit to the team, of course, for doing this, ran away with the win in what was a very tight affair against North Melbourne. The final score being North Melbourne 12-14, 86, defeated by the Western Bulldogs 12-17, 89. So our last quarter effort was pretty good. We were able to hold on and win the game. I guess that's all that matters. But early in the season, there's of course some improvements that of course can happen to our side. So repeating that score: North Melbourne 12-14, 86, defeated by the Western Bulldogs 12-17, 89. Kicked a lot of behinds, 17 behinds. Clearly not good enough. More behinds than goals. Not good enough for my liking. So we need to fix up our goal kicking. In fact, that was probably the story of the whole weekend, really, in terms of goal kicking. There was a lot of games that just had behinds left, right and centre. But anyway, the Western Bulldog goal kickers, Stringer kicked 2, as well as Dalehouse and Suckling. Cloak, big story. We're going to get to him in just a couple of minutes. Bontempelli, Murphy, Liberatore, Dunkley and McRae got singles for us. And then the best players: Dalehouse, Bontempelli, M. Boyd, McRae, Stringer, and also Robert Murphy, who plays his 300th game on Saturday, all got in the best players. Tom Boyd suffered a concussion early on in the game and played no further part. He Yeah, seemed to be quite concussed. A bit of a bruise, I think, under his eye or something like that. And, well, Travis Cloke, the big story. I think he's going to miss about 5 to 8 weeks due to broken ribs. And it's not really what you want to hear from, a player who we recruited at the start of the season. He was basically our big man recruit. Like, who else did we really recruit that was bigger than Travis Cloke? So he's going to be out for a little bit of time. Let's hope he can get back to the form that he leaves to go on a bit of injury time out. That he was in. Of course, we know he got to the club. There was a lot of controversy surrounding him, whether he'd get a game or so forth. But he's actually slotted into the side really well, I think, and he showed some signs. But unfortunately, broken ribs. And Siebel, it wasn't a reportable offence. It was, just tough, brutal footy, really. 42,814 attended this match at Etihad Stadium on Good Friday, the first ever AFL match on Good Friday. Probably a success from an AFL point of view. It's probably here to stay, it's no question about that. Okay, time now for my round 4 votes for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. I'll start with my 1 vote. I've given it to Jake Stringer. I thought he was quite outstanding in this match. He played a really good game, I thought. 2 goals, 3 behinds, could have had 5. Could only settle for 2 though due to inaccurate kicking. He gathered 19 disposals. Only the 80 fantasy points, but I thought he had a good impact in the game, and I think he deserves 1 vote for me. So Jake Stringer with the 1 vote. I've given 2 votes to Marcus Bontempelli. He got 25 disposals, 10 handballs, 15 of the other disposals were kicks. He applied 6 tackles, 107 fantasy points. I thought he had a good impact in this game, and he has got 2 votes for me. And then the 3 votes has gone to one of my favourites, and that is Luke Dalehouse. He gathered 32 disposals, 24 handballs, so that is pretty big actually. He got a lot of handballs and only 8 kicks, so yeah, a lot of those little handballs he was getting a lot of. Applied 6 tackles and got 4 marks. He kicked 2 goals as well, so he gets the 3 votes for me. So that is the votes, the round 4 votes for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. And looking at the leaderboard now, Lockie Hunter currently leads with Marcus Bontempelli both on 5 votes. You then have equal third Jason Johannesson and Luke Dalehouse on 3 votes. Level 5th is Lin Jong and Matthew Suckling on 2 votes. Tom Liberatore, Liam Pickett, Jack McRae, Jake Stringer, joint 7th on 1 vote apiece. So that is the leaderboard for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. Time now to have a look at where we stand on the AFL ladder after round 4. We have moved from 9th to 6th. We are in that top 8 now, which is fantastic, although still it doesn't really mean too much in this early part of the season. You can see there the Geelong Cats, Adelaide Crows and Richmond all undefeated. We do have Richmond coming up very, very soon. The GWS Giants, who is our next game after the Brisbane Lions, are currently in 4th spot with only the 1 loss and the 3 wins. The Brisbane Lions, who we versed this week, they're down in 15th place. They did lose on the weekend. They've lost 3 and won just the 1 match. So we are currently 6th on the AFL ladder after round 4. Okay, time now to get stuck into our round 1 VFL encounter. Of course, our Footscray VFL side took on the Box Hill Hawks on Good Friday. This game at 12 PM. In fact, this was the first ever VFL match to be played on Good Friday, so a little bit of history there in terms of the VFL League. And it's fair to say that the Box Hill Hawks, they led at quarter time. They led by 11 points, the score being Footscray 2-2-14 to Box Hill Hawks 4-1-25. It seemed like we were playing a little bit of catch-up footy throughout the entire match, because the Box Hill Hawks led at half-time. They actually led 35-52 Box Hill Hawks, but we were able to get back in the third quarter, lead by 4 points at three-quarter time, 11-8-74 to 11-4-70. A tough last quarter. We had a lot to do to try and win this match. It was a close, a tight one, but the Box Hill Hawks were able to run away winners and win their first ever VFL match for season 2017. Unfortunately, we lose by 2 points. The final score, Footscray 14-9-93, defeated by the Box Hill Hawks 15-5-95. The goal kickers, Lipinksi, very, very impressive, kicked 4 goals. Green kicked 3. Williams, Daniel, Foster, Goodyear, Cramery, Honeychurch and Dalglish kicked singles. The best players, Webb, Daniel, Williams, Honeychurch, Lapinksi and also Green for our Footscray Bulldogs side. So unfortunately we dropped points at home at Whitten Oval. We are back at Whitten Oval again next week, which I will get into very shortly. But yeah, unfortunately we drop points and lose by 2 points to the Box Hill Hawks. And yeah, not the best of starts, but there's a lot of signs in terms of some of our second players in this team. And of course we do have a lot of choices in terms of who to replace Cloak with coming in to our game against the Brisbane Lions on Saturday. So that is our round 1 encounter, our round 1 VFL encounter that happened on Friday, Good Friday, against the Box Hill Hawks. Box Hill Hawks were 2-point winners. Okay, let's quickly look at where we stand on the VFL ladder after round 1. Doesn't really mean too much because, well, it's only after round 1, but we are currently sitting in 8th spot after that 2-point loss to the Box Hill Hawks. You can see there that Richmond, Port Melbourne, Williamstown, Geelong, Sandringham, Collingwood and Box Hill Hawks all got wins in the opening round of the VFL. So that is where we stand on the VFL ladder after round 1. Okay, time now to get stuck into our round 2 VFL encounter. It is on Saturday the 22nd of April starting at 5 p.m. It is against Werribee at Victoria University Whitten Oval. It is actually our away game, and I have to ask the question, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who may know the answer to this, but why are we playing Werribee away at our home ground of Whitten Oval? Isn't that a bit strange? That is very, very strange that we are playing Werribee at our home ground, but it's not our home game. Like, is that... Am I the only one that thinks that's strange? It is very, very strange, actually. But anyway, no complaints there because we have the advantage, I guess, even though Werribee are named as the home side. But anyway, this game, of course, at 5 p.m, so you can go to the AFL game on Saturday and then head to Whitten Oval straight after. Of course, it's not far away from Etihad, so... yeah, you've got your double dose of Bulldogs then on Saturday. So looking forward to that match. It's our round 2 VFL encounter. Footscray Bulldogs Werribee on Saturday, 5 p.m, straight after our AFL game. It's at our very own Whitten Oval. Okay, time now to get into our round 5 AFL clash. Of course, this clash being an Anzac round, and it is against the Brisbane Lions on Saturday, the 22nd of April, starting at 1:45 p.m. at Etihad Stadium. The match can only be viewed on Fox Footy. It's our first game for season 2017 that isn't on free-to-air, but we are back on free-to-air in round 6. A really important clash, this one, because our last 2, maybe 3 of the last 4 games haven't been convincing wins. We've still been working on things each and every week, and that's probably the same for every single team, to be honest. We're probably not the only one. But, yeah, look, we probably need to find our feet a little bit in this match, get the win, and then look towards a very tough next couple of weeks, because we have got GWS Giants next week at their home ground of Manuka Oval. We've then got Richmond back at our home ground of Etihad Stadium, although they've been in perfect form at the moment. The West Coast Eagles over there at Domain Stadium, we did that last year, but they're still going to be very hard to beat over there. We then have Geelong and St Kilda before the bye. So we have a very tough couple of weeks, a tough 5 weeks before the bye comes around. So an important game, this one, a very important game. Of course, it's Bob Murphy's 300th game. We must not forget that. So congratulations to him. He's been a fantastic servant of our club, and looking forward to seeing him play his 300th game. Hopefully he creates some more magical moments, and of course captains the side to a win this week. So looking forward to this clash Saturday. We're up against the Lions at Etihad. Looking forward to it. Okay, time now for the fan favourite segment, the 5 fan questions. You know how it works, so let's get stuck into it. I start with Matt Button, who asks, who should replace Cloak in the team. A very interesting question. We know that Cramery could be the likely man to come in, considering that he's probably the first team player out of anyone to come into the side, if that makes sense. But I'm going to go away from him. I'm going to go away from any other kind of senior player, I guess, and go Patrick Lipinski. I was very impressed with what he was able to produce on Friday, at Whitten Oval in the opening VFL match. He kicked 4 goals. I reckon just chuck him in there, chuck him in the side and see how he goes. Give him a chance. He's got an interesting stat actually, because he kicked 11 goals in his first 6 matches of the TAC Cup season last year. So he really did play well in the early part of the season last year, and I guess dominated in the TAC Cup in terms of those 6 games, 11 goals in those 6 games. So I reckon bring him in. It's only 1 game he's played well in so far, which is of course the VFL, but I reckon chuck him in. I reckon he's ready, and I think I made a little bit of a blue a few weeks ago when I answered a question about the draftees debuting this year. I thought only Tim English would be the only one debuting, but nah, this bloke looks like he's going to be in the side very shortly, and I think it should be this week. Chuck him in, give him a go. It wouldn't hurt, to be honest. It's against the Brisbane Lions, which, look, to be honest, we should be winning against the Brisbane Lions, to be honest, at our home ground. Of course, we know we've still got to take this game pretty seriously. It's not going to be a light game for us. We do need to work hard to win the game. But in saying that, though, I think it's a great opportunity to bring Lipinski in and see how he goes, and see if he can kick a few goals. And yeah, give him a debut, I reckon. Put him in for Cloak this week. That's what I'd do anyway. Question here from Premiership asks, what is your greatest memory of Bob ahead of his 300? There's a lot of them. There is a real lot of them. But one of the most recent memories, it was a few years ago. I think it was in 2015, I think. This is off the top of my head. It was either... Yeah, I think it was 2000. No, it was 2014 actually. We played the Brisbane Lions in round 1, and he kicked an absolute ripper from the boundary. It was a check side goal, and that is one of my recent and greatest memories of Bob, I reckon, is that particular goal. We won that day. It brought a lot of joy to the club actually, because we had been struggling in recent years. So. Yeah, I think that's probably my greatest memory at the moment, but there's lots of others, there's no question about that. Of course, I'm only young, so I haven't quite actually got one of his, I guess, greatest memories from his, I guess, his earlier days, because I was born in 1997, so... But the recent memory and the greatest memory for me is that goal against the Brisbane Lions in 2014, I think it was, in round 1. Red WB asks, what do fans see as the main differences between the Dogs of 2016 and our current season? Well, look, I think we haven't quite been moving the ball as fast as what we did last year. That's just my opinion, I think. There has been times where we have, but we haven't been doing that as much. Of course, Bontempelli not being the third man up has probably changed the team a little bit in terms of that rule being erased from the game. We know all about that. I actually think the hurts of Joel Hamlin going from the side. We saw a couple of weeks ago he dominated against us when we played Freo up there at Domain Stadium. I think losing him's a bit of a hurt, and obviously we've got a few injuries, of course, Wallace out and so forth. Roughhead is the big one, I think, that is hurting us at the moment. No Roughhead. I don't think we are truly at the moment finding a real preferred first ruck at the moment. Tom Campbell's a good ruck, but he's not really performing as well as what Roughhead would. Tim English is probably a bit too young. You couldn't have chucked him in on Friday against Goldstein and Bruce, who are in great form at the moment, probably up there in the top 10 rucks in the competition this year at the moment. So Roughhead, not having Roughhead in the side is a big hurt as well. So yeah, look, we're probably not as fast at the moment. It's just early in the season at the moment, though, and obviously we've still got plenty of the year to try and get ourselves, I guess, perfect and ready for the finals, which is what we exactly did last year. So, but yeah, that's probably the main differences. No Roughhead, probably not as fast, and obviously third man up and so forth. Bontempelli can't quite do that, so that is a little bit of a difference as well, and also the umpires are cracking down on obviously the fast hands and what's a throw and what's a handball, but and obviously Hamling as well. I think he's a big loss, to be honest, but and I don't think we're yet to actually find a real good replacement for him at the moment. Gregory asks, because of the injuries to the big men, will English get a run in the team? Very interesting question, Gregory, and to be honest, I actually hope and think that Tim English will be a chance to play this week against the Brisbane Lions. Maybe chuck Tom Campbell out maybe and just put English in the deep end and see how he goes. I believe he did play in the VFL on Friday. I'm not sure how he went. I'm sure everyone can tell me about that. But look, he showed signs in the pre-season. I think he was a bit injured at the start of the season, so we just had Boyd and Cloak rucking and so forth. I reckon get him in this week. Get him in, and of course we know actually Tom Campbell might stay in because there might be a chance that Tom Boyd might not play this week because of the concussion. But I'd chuck him in this week. I think he's a good chance to play this week. And yeah, I do hope he does get a run because he's a promising player. He's very tall. And yeah, I think it's a good chance to come in this week, in my opinion, I think, Gregory. But yes, I think English will get a run very soon. And finally, Ivan asks, how far do you think the Doggies will go this year? I have answered this question before. I did answer this question in the earlier episodes. I'll just answer it again, though, because... No, look, my opinion hasn't changed from the start of the season. I reckon we can go all the way and get to the grand final again. We know that things are just a little bit different at the moment, and we are trying to work out, a few things, and there is some improvements to do, but there's always improvements for any team, really. Like Hawthorn, I guess, in their era, there was lots of improvements in some, I guess. So look, at the moment, we're still trying to, find our feet in the earlier parts of the competition, going into the end part. And I stand by what I said. I think we can make it to the grand final this year, even though our start hasn't been the best. But we've only lost one, so it hasn't really been bad at all. It's been a pretty I guess okay start. So yeah, look, I stand by what I said, and that is that. I think we can make it to the grand final. And that is it for another episode of After the Dogs Roar. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, don't forget to like, comment and share this video. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. Keep up to date with a new episode of this every single week. I'll be back next week with episode 13, where I'll overview our AFL Round 5 clash against the Lions, as well as our VFL clash against Werribee, and of course looking towards our upcoming games as well as the 5 fan questions as well. So looking forward to next week's episode. So until then, I'm Jacob. Go Dogs. Hope they get a win on Saturday against the Lions. Bye for now.